Hello, and welcome to The Business of YouTube, the new podcast that is going to talk about people that are using YouTube for business for many different reasons and in many different ways. It's people that really used it for real and have real experiences and case studies and data and big successes and big failure to tell and to share with us. And today we have with us Gergo Szabo. Welcome on board to the podcast, Gergo.
Hi, Paula.
So
Nice to be
thank you
here.
for being here with us. And first of all, you want to tell a bit more of what you're doing now, and there's a long story to tell up to this point. But what is the thing that you are doing now that you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the opportunity and the intro. So as of now, I have exited the YouTube-focused social video business in 2022, and since then, and actually even a few years before that, I started to concentrate on sports media, and sports technology projects. I mean that as an entrepreneur, and it's a number of projects. So we do run and operate YouTube channels to this day as well. I also made investments into sports technology, and I still have a stake in a YouTube and social video focused business as well. We have a great company in South Africa, based in beautiful Cape Town. Besides that, I'm doing advisory jobs, sometime in mergers and acquisitions, sometime in other media, sports media, business development projects. In the last few years, I consulted companies like Rakuten TV, Sony's sports businesses, WSC Sports, or Ringe Sports Media, and also as part of a great team, I'm working right now on building a venture capital fund with the aim of investing into sports technologies. So this is a number of things. My
You
my
don't get bored.
expertise. Pardon?
You get bored very easily, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, my expertise is mainly around video and streaming video, social video, and sport right now.
Yeah, cool. Actually, like a bit of a background info. Like we met at a sports pro event, I think, in Madrid once. And when
Exactly.
what I found very interesting when we met the first time is that we didn't know each other at all. Like we never met before. And that wasn't a long time ago. I think a couple of years ago. But then we had so much history in common, like the whole YouTube history, like of the last 10 to 15 years, where basically a new industry was born, and that's something that I found very interesting to share, because that's the whole entrepreneurship journey and the knowledge of the industry from the very beginning. I think there is a real value there to share with everybody.
Absolutely. I actually also looked up when I prepared for this meeting, like when you guys started, and of course not by coincidence. It was a really similar timing. So basically, the start of the big YouTube trend, I would say.
Yeah, tell us about more like when did you start? Because you're starting. Actually, you were in music industry before, right? So you're
Uh,
coming from a corporate
entertainment rather. But yeah,
entertainment, right? Yeah,
let me give you a recap of my sort of background and how I got to YouTube and how I got to sports media. So I guess before I've been anything in a professional sense. I've been an athlete actually. I played water polo, which is it's a minor sport, of course. It's kind of peripheral, but it's also with some great traditions. So it's always been part of the Olympics. I think I think it might be the only team sport who's been there from the very beginning and all the way through. And Hungary, where I am from, is actually really successful in water polo. Hungary's been 9 Olympic golds, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to experience some of their success from very close. Like for example, I was watching the final of the Athens Olympics. I was there on the stands in person, where one of my best friends became an Olympic champion, and like these were, as I realized later, like these were like really defining moments for me. And it's also a small world, water polo as a sport as such, as you can imagine, and it just gave me lifelong friendships from childhood friends and internationally as well. So I do owe a lot to sports, and I have this athlete DNA, I guess. However, I also did not
You
want to
probably
be
need an athlete DNA in like if you're an entrepreneur in a way or another, you're an athlete. Enduring,
yeah.
enduring, enduring, and resiliency at its best. So that's definitely helping out, isn't it?
Absolutely, these are things you only realize later, and kind of as you also like kind of read about it. But I think it helps a lot, and I think team sports, like growing up in a team sport environment, also helps a lot. You just learn so much about teamwork, basically. Yeah, but I actually did not want to be an athlete.
So you were
Yeah.
in a so you were an athlete, then you were in a corporate, and then what happens?
Yeah, so I didn't want to be an athlete only, and or at least that was how I felt at the time. So after I finished university, I started to concentrate on, let's say, so to say, professional development. I've spent time abroad. I lived in New Zealand. I still competed in Australia, and came to work to the UK, and worked for companies such as HBO, Disney, and Sony Pictures Entertainment, which I think these companies really form the way I think about how businesses operate. And this was roughly 10 years with these top entertainment companies, and I was also exposed to some really interesting things in the, I think, kind of forefront of the industry. So the end of this time was pretty much the beginning of the streaming era, and I had the opportunity to do work on business plans for Sony about launching their streaming service Crackle in the bigger European markets. Not sure many of the listeners would know, but Crackle used to be a free ad-supported multi-platform streaming service in the US back around 2009-8. It's been owned by Sony Pictures, and what it was basically, it was a fast channel, as we would call them these days, which became a hot topic in just the last couple of years, really. So those guys running it at Sony with Eric Berger in the lead were basically 10 plus years ahead of the market in their thinking, which is fascinating, I think, if you think about it. But hey, heck, timing is everything. So right, and they were too early with that, but it was super exciting. However, I left this corporate media world like roughly after 10 years. I've left that and went home to Hungary from London, and took a business model with me that I saw in London, and founded a company with my friend Peter Müller. So from around, I think, 2011, the YouTube scene like really started to buzz in the UK, and it became obvious to me as well that something great is happening, and I felt that I saw it early. I was exposed to it through my job at Sony to some extent. So I did meet through my job some of these early players in the industry, in the YouTube scene. I have met Little Dot Studios, Zephyr, some of the US companies, Maker Studios, Machinima, and yeah, just as I noticed, Buzz My Videos was already around too. Though, as you say, we have met much later. So anyhow, like my thinking was to take this model, go home, and start to build that. So by the time the wave of that trend hits the market, which I think always happens with smaller markets, they follow the big ones by a couple of years, and yeah, just as I said, like timing here as well is just everything, right? So we are established by the time it gets big over there too, and so it happened to sum it up. We had a local approach, and didn't try to make the Hungary operation international, but we've been market leading for quite some time. However, we did set up another local operation too, and we have the company in Cape Town, South Africa, that I've mentioned before, run by the amazing Danilo Akisto. So this is actually expanding within Africa now, and it's also a great outsource operation, same time zone, same language as the UK, but cheaper. So anyways, we did everything, social video, creators, influencer deals, rights management, content management, production for brands and for owned and operated. And we ended up creating thousands of pieces of social video content to YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, sometimes even LinkedIn. And yeah, we are still very much involved through this operation with YouTube to this day. And I do
And
stay
what,
extremely. Pardon?
sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I stay extremely bullish on YouTube. So I think what they do in terms of keeping their leading position in social video for over a decade now is just, it's amazing. Not that this is easy. Like, they've been challenged so much by video strategies from every side, basically, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, and they just always manage to give the right answers in the sort of right time frame. So not too quick, not too slow. So I find the way they build for the long term like just super impressive. And just just look at what happens now on the big screen, as they are like really eating away the TV market by now. So as I just explained, I'm coming from that side practically. So I've seen people from within the TV industry fearing YouTube and it's eating away their market, like even before 2010, I think, so 15 years ago. But it didn't come for a long time. But eventually it just comes. It's just
Yeah,
slower, because I think mass market change is just always generational, and that takes time. Usually it's forecasted to be quicker because people tend to think that technology drives that change. However, what usually happens is that masses do not change their habits so quickly just because technologically something becomes possible. So these
I think,
changes will.
I think that's, so if you're have been eating and breathing technology like day in day out, you think that that's average, but it's not average. And I think that's something we all learned in one way or another. Is like the reality is that real people that are not in technology, which is the market, is not. We are not the market. The real people are the market. They go at a slower pace, a different pace, not slower. It's just different. So you're kind of
Exactly.
living in the future. You just don't know when the future will land for real. And I think that in a way or another, we all did the same mistake in a way, or like forecasting the real timing is always an issue. So we were all in the right place in the right time in a way, but we just didn't know when the market was really
Yeah.
shifting, I guess.
Yes, and I think it's really interesting right now. Like, I think we are actually finally at a kind of tipping point now in the just I think like recent stats I've seen, that in the UK, the only growing viewing platforms in the last 2 years being YouTube and TikTok, and everything else, including TV, including even streaming, is going down. So and yeah, just back to YouTube. I think that the management in YouTube just seems to understand this very well and just drives this platform exceptionally. So yeah, I think YouTube is the best, and I feel I'm really happy that I've been involved with this company and platform.
That sometimes it's very funny for me because they ask me the question like, what do you think about TikTok? Is that going to be eating the cake? And I'm like, look, TikTok is the best thing that ever happened to YouTube in a way, because there's always need of a competitor, and TikTok is a very good competitor. They actually are very different, although it seems very similar. I don't think they're very similar at all. But now the long-term play of YouTube is actually playing out, which is the TV play, which ultimately is getting on the big screen because there's the ad dollars are there, and so that's that. To be honest, there is space for everyone, and I don't think it has been a bad thing that TikTok came along. It's actually a very good thing, and so more option, more competition. Competition is always a good thing in reality for the users. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
agree. These companies are pushing themselves to the to just basically to be better. So and it was very visible, at certain times when YouTube was reacting to challenge from Twitch, and YouTube was reacting to the challenge coming from TikTok, and this is also vice versa. I guess you see in TikTok as well that they realize the power of long form. So
It
yeah,
sounds like the playbook of YouTube. It started actually very short form YouTube. It wasn't long form at all. I mean, you probably remember when there was you needed to be a partner to have more than 10 minutes videos
true.
or something like that, because it was a short form platform. You always start short and then go long. That's where the ad dollars are. So
That's
it's
true.
kind
That's
of
true.
really playbook, to be honest.
And even the terminology is changing interestingly. So now we call long form that used to be TV long form, that used to mean 45 minutes, and then but now we call it long form. We don't say YouTube long form, we just say long form, and that's a 20-minute YouTube video, and that's
Yeah,
terminology is also changing.
very long form. Yeah, true. All right. So going back now to the point. So you were early, like very early. You grew. You like You developed new companies, etc. And now, where is sports sitting in the whole journey so far?
So for me, basically, what kind of happened is that I had this sports sort of DNA that I told you about, and then which was my sort of personal passion, I guess, and then also had my professional background, and I'm really not sure why it took me so long, but I was over 40 by the time I realized that I can actually combine my professional background and my personal passion. So since then, I'm basically concentrating on the sports projects, and since I dug into it, I also tend to think that there's just so much to do in sports, and yeah,
You worked for Tokyo 2020, right? So
yeah,
what's your experience there like? You had
yeah. We,
very
we, we completed a number of sports projects, and this Tokyo job was I guess one of our proudest jobs. So basically, we've been running the YouTube channel for the Hungary Olympic team, being tasked by the Hungary Olympic Committee to create the channel before Tokyo. At the time, they had a really forward-thinking leadership team who understood that they need to communicate to youth, and accepted what we told them about why they need to communicate the way their target audience want to have it, and on the platform they are spending time at. Uh, I'm talking about, I think, like being platform agnostic, and I think this is a general and super important rule. So basically, whatever platform you approach, your reason for that should be because your target demographics is on that platform. So okay, go after them, but go after them to that platform with content that is platform authentic. So don't put TV content to YouTube, and don't try to put YouTube content to TikTok and whatnot. But you just need to learn each platform, what works, what not, and just serve the needs there. So that's what we did. In a sense, we started that channel from zero, implemented a content strategy that very effectively combined these right YouTube-ish formats. You don't try to redo what the broadcasters do in great quality, but you concentrate on the stories and storytelling and the personal sides, background. Let's call it shoulder content, and I think we use the influencers and creators the right way as well. So we needed the extra sort of reach or traffic that they could have provided. The Hungary Olympic team consisted of roughly 150 people, out of athletes, out of probably 3, 4, 5 were the stars who drove traffic on their own, but that's a very small number. All the rest of the athletes are virtually unknown to the wider public. So we use creators who provided their own authenticity, but also drove traffic from their existing big audiences, and were connected to sports. We had these two guys, Molnár Matyi and Nagy Dani, who were both great in just running around Tokyo, showing our audiences what an Olympic visitor would experience. What an Olympic visitor would experience if there would have been visitors. There was no visitors due to COVID, of course, which was just making things even more challenging. But otherwise, we were trying to show what you do, how you travel, what you see from the city, the culture, the food, the outdoors, the competition venues, the games, meeting the athletes and hanging out with them in casual, non-stiff interview situations and all that. And this just played out super well. We had a crew on the ground of 6 people, 2 guys in front of the cameras and 4 guys behind, but everyone being able to do anything from the production process in case anyone would fall out for COVID restrictions or health problems. And we ended up publishing more than 50 episodes during the 2 weeks of the Olympics, and the channel became the globally most viewed Olympic team YouTube channel throughout this time, which is a huge success considering that this was the Olympic team of a nation and or language that no more than 15 million people speak around the world, and we managed to get twice as many views as the second most viewed Team GB channel, for example. These
that's definitely massive.
yeah. So it was really nice. I think the results were not really publicized, unfortunately, at the time. I had some opportunity to talk about it on a conference that YouTube organized for their partners, but our local Olympic committee didn't want to publish news about this, and the reason for that was that some of the things we did were kind of borderline or kind of guerrilla
They were more
approaches.
YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, YouTube in the in the way they used we used the IOC media accreditations, and we were filming in the Olympic Village, which was not allowed at the time, and so on. But I still feel that with these acts we have pioneered this trend, as by now in Paris the big broadcasters, Warner Bros. And Warner Bros. Discovery and NBC, both had extensive creator programs built on very similar concepts that we also used. I don't think they have seen what we did 3 years before, but this is, I think,
that is very early. I think it's just starting now, like in the last couple of years for sport to leverage like YouTubers, but like understanding more of the language per se. So I think that the fact you were using content, so you were producing content, so it's like a production, like proper production, but with the playbook for YouTube, which I think that's and then authenticity there comes into play. So leaving aside the creators, it's just really you understand the platform, then you create the content for the platform where it's really not 100% polished. And I think that's the key thing. It doesn't need to be polished to be successful on YouTube at all. And I sometimes feel it's odd to repeat it, but I still believe that a lot of times, especially the traditional media things, or like whoever is coming with a new view on YouTube, like the thing that needs to be brilliant, polished content, like high quality production. It could be high quality production in a way, but not need to be polished. It could be like proper production, but it needs to understand that sometimes authenticity is like with the mobile and the athlete and the motions. That's it. So definitely you were early on that one, and I believe like you were very early on the other movement, which is the athletes now becoming like superstars on platforms. Well, YouTube actually wasn't a thing for athletes, which I always found very weird, because athletes are on Instagram or TikTok, and they're not on YouTube now. Finally, like I'm so glad that Cristiano Ronaldo is there and doing amazingly well. And that's going to be the beginning of a whole new trend. I mean, you were there 3 years early compared to the whole market. So, well done on that.
Maybe this is a common scheme in my career to do things early. But I think it's the natural evolution and convergence of sports and entertainment and the creator scene. So we'll see a lot of these.
And now, what's the plan now? what's the next move now that sport platforms? Now you're investing. What's the plan? What are we expecting from you so that we know what's going to happen in the next 5 years, basically? So that's going to be the next trend.
Yeah, yeah, basically I just want to do things in the crossroads of these, like entertainment, social and creator and sports, and happy to help anyone wanting to crack what is the modern way of presenting sports to youth. I think this is one of the topics that really interests me, like how figuring out how to be relevant today if you are a legacy sport. So I'm I'm pretty convinced that they fall behind and youth lose interest in some of them, mainly because they simply do not do the media work and business development work that needs to be done, and they just did not modernize from the traditional ways. And this is despite they have the good examples in the professional top sports. So you just have to look at what the Premier League teams are doing and all that. But there's still things just stopping these federations and organizations doing that. But anyways, I find that really interesting. Moreover, as I mentioned, we are building a venture capital fund with the aim of investing into sports technologies, and I would like to do that with athlete investor partners too. So I'm really a big believer in the athlete investor movement, and I do think that for any athlete who are earning a lot of money, they should think about diversifying their portfolios and wealth management towards sports ventures as well, because I think there is a strong influencer kind of logic that can be applied over here, as as athletes are probably among the best influencers in general, and in terms of the values they are associated with and so on. But the area where they are, even within that, are the most authentic is obviously sports itself, since they are part of that. So just imagine what can do to a small sports technology startup if someone like, let's say, Novak Djokovic becomes their investor. So in terms of the publicity and network of connections within their very own industry, this sort of thing can really elevate a small company. And also, I think the athletes in these cases can have an active involvement, which is versus their other sort of traditional investment and wealth management solutions, where they typically play a more passive role. Here they are actually encouraged to be active and think for I think for anyone who wants to learn business besides their sports careers, this is an awesome opportunity. So that's what we would like to do. We would like to help athletes find the right investment targets. We are pretty early days in this, working on a number of things parallel, including athlete relations and whatnot. And yeah, like Novak Djokovic, if you listen to this, we wanna have you on board.
Perfect. Why not? All right. So just to finish off, like if just in one line, what do you think the world of sports should do? It's a must-have, must-do on YouTube.
Yeah, so I think there's a okay one. It might not be
One
one line,
line.
okay, but
One
I'll try to be I'll try to be short. So
And
look,
the
like
time needs to be long. So you're
yeah,
not, you need to be short.
yeah. So look, as I'm talking now the forefront, the top of the industry. But as these teams and ventures, they they evolve into ventures. They evolve into businesses, hybrid businesses focusing on media, technology, commercialization. They just need to keep somehow a fine balance with the traditional thinking or traditional focus around the emotional connection with the fans and team performance. And I think that's a very hard sort of balance to keep, but it's very important because we are talking about a thing with a soul. So we can't ignore that. Yeah, that's my. It's not one line, but I think it's pretty
It's a
challenging to
problem.
post this
Very
drive, and
fine.
even more challenging to keep it right.
No, okay, makes total sense. All right, with this one, we end this episode of the Business of YouTube. Thank you very much, Gergo, for being here with us, and good luck with your new ventures. And maybe we do another episode in like 5 years' time, saying, you see the example I was talking about, actually it happened, and now everybody's doing it, and that wouldn't be the first time, would it?
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye
You too.
bye.
Take care. Bye.